What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Danielle Smith, I gotta say, she's either playing an amazing game of 4D chess here, or else I don't know what the heck is going on. I'm gonna go with the latter. I'm gonna say she knows what she's doing because she's recently put out a video that kind of says the quiet part out loud, as the title of the video says. I think that Danielle is openly promoting Alberta independence while promoting sovereignty within a united Canada, if you get my drift. Now, we've talked about Danielle's messaging, the Alberta Next panels, everything on brand so far that's happening when it comes to the independence movement. But there's one event looming before we get into this video that has me asking questions as to why this video is being put out now. So stick with me, folks. I want to touch base on this Rise of Alberta video. In March, Danielle Smith gave Mark Carney 6 months to act or face a national unity crisis. Her demands were clear. Now, she actually gave 6 months' notice to whether it be Pierre Poilievre or Mark Carney who took over. The requests were repeal Bill C-69, lift the BC tanker ban, scrap oil and gas emissions cap, end clean energy regulations, reverse the single-use plastics ban, end the net zero car mandate, return carbon tax oversight to provinces, guarantee Alberta export corridors in all directions, no export taxes or restrictions on Alberta oil and gas, end subsidies from Alberta to other provinces, and stop censoring energy companies while also fixing Ottawa's mismanagement of Jasper and Banff National Parks. So it goes on to say down here, it's now been 5 months. Carney hasn't delivered on a single one of these. The only path left is Alberta independence. The question is, when Carney fails, what will Danielle Smith do? And that is a question I've been asking for quite some time. We're less than 4 weeks away from the due date, so to speak. I talked about this on live stream 2 weeks ago with Celtic Canuck, at which point she even said if Danielle doesn't show any teeth as of October 1st, if she doesn't push back or say, hey, we gave you a time, you haven't even delivered on anything. In fact, Pierre Poilievre just came out saying that this was the Seinfeld summer for Mark Carney. It was a summer about nothing. It was a show about nothing. He just talked, no actions, no delivery, nothing. What happens come October 1st? And furthermore, how confusing does this video get that Danielle Smith has put out? Because everything she talks about in this video, there's actually a simple answer. Alberta independence. Now, I'm going to play for you some of this video. We're going to take a look at it, and you'll have to forgive me if I stop periodically to make my points known as we go through. But I want to make sure all the bases are covered. Let's get it started, and I'll talk about where I'm a little confused with this.
We all know Canada's economy is suffering right now. We've had an inflation crisis, high unemployment, declining GDP, capital investment fleeing Canada for other countries, massive federal deficits, and of course, the US tariff threat, which has exposed just how dependent we are on one single country for the vast majority of our exports. It's been a tough go lately. But what if I told you that we could help solve every single one of these problems with just a couple of key policy changes by our federal government? What if there was a way to create hundreds of thousands of jobs, attract back hundreds of billions in investment capital, bolster GDP growth, diversify our trade markets, and flow new revenues to federal and provincial budgets, all without spending a single tax dollar? Does that sound too good to be true? Well, it isn't.
Well, that's again where I'm going to interject. It actually is too good to be true because we've seen it multiple times with the Canadian federal government. They're not going to do any of that. We've already seen it in the 5 months that Mark Carney has had against those 12 rules or those 12 requests. We've already seen that the federal government will not bend the knee. In fact, many have speculated that come October, Mark Carney, again, you've already got Wob Canoe running around talking about this line to Churchill, that Mark Carney is merely going to give the scraps to Alberta by saying, hey, look, we got one project off the ground. Pierre keeps saying I didn't greenlight anything. There's one project. We got that going, ladies and gentlemen. Let them have cake, so to speak. I'm going to continue with the video and again, show you where I'm a little confused here.
And all that stands in the way is just some common sense and a bit of courage by our Prime Minister. You see, Canada has among the largest supply of valuable natural resources on Earth. On a per-person basis, our endowment of natural resources far exceeds China, Europe, Russia, and even the United States. And it's not particularly close. We have incredibly fertile lands and oceans, unmatched supplies of timber, uranium, and potash, and a treasure trove of critical minerals in every province and territory. And one more thing, we literally live on top of more than 1 trillion barrels of oil and more than 1 quadrillion cubic feet of natural gas. These oil and gas resources represent an astounding tens of trillions of dollars in potential wealth for our country.
So there's what we have to touch base on. Now, I know Danielle mentions that the potash, the uranium, the oceans, everything else. Guess where all that exists, folks? Western Canada. If BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba all formed a Western alliance, a Western nation, and got away from the federal government, that would be an economic powerhouse. A Western republic would absolutely dominate over what Canada is as a country. And it has nothing to do with giving the finger to the East or saying to those who live in the, hey, we don't want anything to do with you or screw you. It has to do with the fact that this is all being caused by politicians, bureaucracy, and red tape. Says here right on the screen, tens of trillions of dollars in potential wealth. And what she brought up there was the oil and gas industry being the cubic measurements of liquid natural gas we have, as well as oil, and that's in Alberta. So the big question is with this video that Danielle's putting out, talking about all of these wonderful things Canada could have, when we have a government that refuses to even come back and say, all right, some of these laws are a little out of control, they're crazy. As Mark Carney constantly promised, we're going to open up the economic wealth of the country. Why are we sharing these trillions of dollars in potential wealth? If they don't want us to produce them, why are we not having a referendum on independence? That's the big question.
Country. That means hundreds of thousands of new great-paying jobs, hundreds of billions in taxes and royalties for government services and infrastructure, and potentially trillions more in spin-off industries like AI data centers, petrochemicals, environmental technology, and a host of other industries that would benefit profoundly from the wealth generated from its development. Oil and gas is not only Canada's largest economic sector, it's Canada's trump card, so to speak. It makes us a potential economic superpower to rival any nation. And if we play our energy cards right, it would make us almost immune from the sometimes hostile policy decisions made by foreign governments anywhere in the world, because we have a wealth of oil and gas riches that no other democracy possesses. Not India, not Europe, not even the United States. Not only that, we are better than any other country at producing that energy in an environmentally responsible manner.
So again, folks, I'll cut it off there because it goes on to talk about why Canada should be united. She just makes more points for Alberta independence. And this is where I have to say, is she saying the quiet part out loud? Is Danielle saying that, look, we have all of this. We can create mass amounts of jobs. We can have trillions in dollars of gained capital by bringing our resources out of the grounds, by having a business in liquid natural gas and oil and gas in our industry. Again, one of the largest contributors of GDP in the country, the safest and cleanest in the world, and putting us on a stage where other countries can't even compete with what we have. The big question here, folks, for anybody who doesn't back Alberta independence, for anybody who says in Alberta that, well, you know, we want to remain a part of Canada, I can understand people's patriotism. I can understand people feeling like, hey, we've always been a country, we want to remain a country. But at the same time, if you have a crippling government that for over the last decade wants to ensure that Alberta's resources stay in the ground, that they have no issues in making sure those trillions of dollars are never gained, to ensure that those products never get to market, why on earth would any province stay? And I would be making this argument just so people know, if all of these resources currently sat in Prince Edward Island or Newfoundland or New Brunswick, I would be saying the same thing. You guys should be getting the hell out of Canada if they don't want to do anything about it. It's money on the table that our government is leaving. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I have to ask the question. This video Danielle put out, again, less than a month away from her 6-month deadline to Mark Carney. Do you think this is Danielle saying the quiet part out loud, or do you think that after October 1st, she's still going to be pushing for a united Canada with nothing but scraps and breadcrumbs from Mark Carney? Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree, even if you're out of Alberta, that this is money left on the table, and if the government doesn't want to do anything about it, people should be looking at alternatives? Again, I'm not here to say, hey, Alberta always, everybody get out. Supremacy for Alberta. I live in Alberta. I love my province. I also love my country. But when you talk about the economics, when you talk about the lifestyle that Albertans are losing or have lost, their livelihoods, their ability to have a future for their kids, how could you not say, if the government doesn't want to work with us and we have the opportunity to leave, that we should? Let me know your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Don't forget to join me tonight and every Wednesday and Friday for our live shows. Friday Night Fringe on Fridays, Unhinged Fringe on Wednesdays. Amazing live streams, folks. We do memes. We joke around. Sometimes I bring out the Donald Trump. We talk like Donald. We tell everybody how great it is around here at the Fringe. I know some people hate the Donald Trump. I love doing Trump. I have a good time. I know people laugh at it, and you know what? That's why I'm here. I want you guys to have a good day and enjoy it. It's a good time. Join us in those live streams tonight and every Wednesday and Friday night, starting at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. I hope to see you guys there. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.